AJ, I appreciate you reaching out and offering to share with members your experience. Maybe before we get going with it, a brief introduction to yourself, your sector, and the years of service.
Yeah, on my side, I'm Anthony Arendse. I've joined the public service in 1982, 12th of January, at the then Department of Colored Affairs, which is what it was called, and then became the Cape Provincial Administration. I then moved in 1996 to Pretoria at the Department of Public Service and Admin. And then in 1998, I moved to the Mpumalanga Provincial Government, where I joined the Department of Central Services. And then subsequently to that, I then joined the Premier's Office and then the Mpumalanga Legislature, where I served them until from 2015 until my retirement in 2024. So that's basically a history of myself. I moved from senior clerk in Cape Town in 96 to a director in public service. So that's basically who you're talking to, Anthony Arendse, or AJ, as people know me.
AJ, that is phenomenal growth. And you've been, serving the community and our country for years. How did you know that it was time to go?
Look, for me, it was the fact that the Mpumalanga Legislature has got what we call the FAMPLA and Legislature Service Bill, which determines that we need to retire at the age of 60.
Right.
And then with your guidance, Dhevan, you really opened my eyes to realize that it's much better for me to resign than to retire. And it was a bit of a longer wait for everything to be finalized between retirement and resignation. But in the end, it was well worth it to go the resignation route.
Yeah. So back then, prior to you and I connecting, which route were you leaning towards and why was it that route?
To be honest, I was leaning towards retirement because I had more than 40 years service. And I was reassured by the pension fund at the time that if you retire, you get an amount almost equal to your salary as a monthly stipend. But they did not reveal all the other issues around the 5 years and benefits to your wife and kids after that. And I think in my sessions with you guys, I realized that retirement is not the route to go because you're not in control of your destiny and you are not in control of where you want to move after that. And also the legacy issue of if something happens to you and especially to my wife, there's nothing left for my kids because they are over the age of 21 and they were not going to benefit in any way because they are not, according to the pension rules, my beneficiaries or dependents, let me put it that way. So yeah, in that's the reason why I decided no. Resignation, yes, I'm in charge and I'm in control of what happens after that.
Yeah, yeah. And why were those elements important for you to be in charge and to be able to leave this legacy?
For me, if you are in a pension fund that does not recognize your hard work all over these years, and they just want to gain access to your funding because let's say there's my wife and I is no longer there, my kids won't benefit. And you can't be working 42 years and you can't show your kids the sacrifices they made even in the process. Because, I worked while I was supposed to spend time with my family. And then in the end, my family can't benefit if we are not there. So that for me is the most important part, that I leave something that my kids can say, look, my father all these years worked and we are benefiting now. And that for me was the most important part.
Yeah, and it came across whenever you and I connected in our sessions, very family orientated and always wanting to
Yes,
look
that's
at
true.
your best. Yeah. How did you find out about me?
Well, I saw something on Facebook and then I went on the link and I realized that there's something that's opening our minds. And I joined the group. And joining the group, there was a lot of info that was shared there, which then made me realize that, there's a benefit. And obviously, I made contact with you. We had a one-on-one session. You gave me all the info that I needed and the reassurance. I mean, I've read a lot of negative things. Um, people that's uninformed will make certain allegations. I also checked your Hello Peter profile. There's a lot of things that I checked out before. And for me, it just made common sense that you know your story, you know what you're talking about. And yeah, it was just a benefit for me to be a part of that group.
Mm. And what was your experience like, with myself and the team, your entire resignation journey?
Yeah, look, on a professional side, I must say, you guys, you know your story, you interact. I was reassured at many times. Getting personal calls from you really meant a lot. When the going was really tough, you guys stepped up and gave me solutions and options as to how we can go about it. Um, and really, your support for me was really uplifting, and it's something that I was not going to get from somebody else. Looking back, and the bigger issue for me was we don't know each other personally. We've never met personally, but your first and second interaction with me was very reassuring. Um, you might not know, but my wife was always sitting on the other side of the table listening to us. And as we were talking, I was the only one in the video at the times, but she also said to me, no, this is the way to go. There's a lot of people taking chances, but in your case, you had that personal interaction. I knew where to find you. Um, if I send you a message, you respond. If I send your support staff a message, they respond. And for me, that is what you need. I mean, I've been with banks as a private client, and you will send them a message, you will call them, but they don't respond. These are the people that's handling your finances. You need them to respond immediately. In your case, I've realized that the whole package from investment, from retirement, from your day-to-day living and medical aid, all those things. You guys were there, and truly, I've been carried by you on an advice side. And like I said to you in the past, I'm like you also said. Now I'm a family man. My family comes first, and when my family suffer, I suffer. But you guys became almost as part of my family. To be honest, if I say the name Mandy, there's about 5 Mandys that my wife knows, that I know. And if I say Mandy, immediately she knows which Mandy we are talking about. So throughout the journey, um, your guys were there. If I had my worries, you will pick up the phone, you will reassure me. This is the processes. There were times I threw my toys out of the cot. You guys came and said, "Guy, listen, this is the story. This is how it works. This is how it not always works." But throughout the journey, you were there, and that for me was the plus point.
Mm. And you've been amazing because the journey was difficult. There were moments where unexpected delays to the payments,
Mhm.
despite the best effort with the fund and you having submitted. And throughout it, you stayed true to the course. So what are some of your results? What's been the three best results that you've achieved in the journey?
You know, like I said to you, we were doing this solar car challenge. And at the time that we had to leave Secunda, I did not have any money. I expected money to come through, and it did not. So I jumped on the journey. I said, look, guys, whatever happens, whether I beg, borrow, or steal, I'm not going to stop this journey. I'm going on it. And the good thing is, halfway through the journey is when my money paid out, and I could play my part in this whole thing. That for me ultimately was one of those things that I had that assurance that I don't have to step out of activities that I've committed to um, while waiting for the pension payout, but still, my life continued. And again, through your reassurance and your team support, I knew something will be happening soon. Secondly, the savings on tax for me was one of the big things. Um, Having worked for as long as I did, you don't want your money to just go back to government and people not recognizing the effort you put in into your work and your hard-earned money, and now all of a sudden they want to take a portion of that back to the coffers. For me, that saving and your guidance there really helped me a lot, because it was quite a significant amount that I saved. In fact, in our interactions, when I looked at my commitments versus the money, the let me say the 1/3 that I was getting out, was not going to make it. But because of the tax saving, I really could meet my commitments. And then lastly is, my family. During the time, we had to really find ways to survive and to cut costs here and there. And, they were just amazing, understanding, because all these years there was a regular income. Now all of a sudden there's nothing. And for 6 months I was without that income. And really they could rally around me. That were working, and the little business that we started, everybody just pulled their weight and supported the family throughout that. And then I had amazing friends as well, that will check up on me and check if I need anything. Um, is there any shortcomings where they can help? And for me, that journey really taught me a lot. And to any person out there, the important part is that even though the pension fund says 3 months, we need to prepare at least for 7, 8, or even a year, because that the safest will be the year. Because I don't want anybody else to go through what I did, having to call your creditors and tell them, listen, I can't pay you, which is something that never happened to me. So now all of a sudden you must tell people, listen, I can't pay you because of 1, 2, 3. I'm waiting for money. And the good thing is they understood. Um, but not everybody's in that situation where everything is up to date. And you might have a situation where you've skipped a few payments even while you were working. And when it comes to retirement, your banks already have a perception of you, and you are not credit worthy, or you're not trusted to pay them back. So those are the things that I've learned throughout this journey, that even though the act says something, the reality is it doesn't always happen that way. For us at this period, since February up to now, was the worst, because it's when GPF went through a lot of problems on their side as well, where they were hacked, where the two-pot system came in, systems had to be changed, all those kind of things. So those are things, when you retire, you don't think of those things. And you start looking at the act saying 3 months, but all those other little things has caused the delay. And like I said to you, you guys kept me up to date, as this is a problem, that might be the problem, So it made the journey much lighter, because you guys had insight. And on some areas which I did not know, you could tell me, no, it can be because of this, it can be because of that. And even with my payout, when I saw the small amount, I was like worried. And I sent you messages and I said, is this all I'm getting? And immediately you responded to say, no, 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 let me follow up. And just after that, um, everything was sorted, and I knew that I'm in control, you guys are in control, and we are moving forward.
Yeah, again, you've had an amazing journey, and I want to congratulate you for following everything and achieving these awesome results. If you have to, to share with this, members out there who are new to the journey of retiring, resigning, still deciding on which route is best to take, What's some of the elements you think would be important for them to know on their journey?
Look, for me, it was good that um, my 60th was like in April,
Mhm.
and it was close to the financial year end or the tax year end,
Mm.
which then I brought my resignation date forward to the end of March, so that the only amount that's added to my benefit is 1 month salary. I've seen with colleagues when you resign later during the year, they add all that earnings to your lump sum at your taxable amount, and then it becomes a little bit of a problem. So for me, timing is important as to when you will resign. Secondly, is to make sure that you've got at least a buffer to fall on. If not, you don't have the savings or all that. Make sure you got access to some funding to be able to carry you and your family throughout the journey. And like I said earlier, I've got amazing friends that that stepped up. If I needed somebody to assist me here, there, I could just pick up the phone and ask. And your team were also part of that. Not that you supported me financially, but you could keep me sane and tell me, look, try this, try that. And it worked. Not always your journey is such that you need people on different levels, not people that always financially want or can support you. But there's those people that can come to your house and just sit and chat. Surround yourself with people that is understanding as to where you are, and really just there spiritually and mentally just to support you. So that for me is what carried me, really, is not the financial support, but the spiritual support from my church, from my friends and everybody else to make sure you have retired. We don't expect anything or any support from you, but we are here to support you. And when the
Mm.
day comes when your money pays out, the important part is that you need to have a list of everything that you owe, every person that you owe, um, and make sure that you settle those things so that you don't have that as a burden. Secondly, is those charitable areas that you want to get involved with, because for me, it's important that while you have, there's others that don't have, and how do you support those people? Um, Otherwise, this journey for me, if you are not mentally strong, it will become a problem because you're not in control of when the payment will be through. And you will also have to build a relationship with all your creditors so that they know beforehand that I'm retiring on this date. This will be my last payment on this date. There might be a gap of paying my debts and all this. So please understand, I'm waiting for my pension. And those are the things I've done. I've written to all of my
Mm.
creditors beforehand so that they've got something on record that I'm going on retirement and there might be problems with my payments in the future. I've done that with my assets. I've done that even with the municipality so that they
Mm.
can understand what is the change in my circumstances.
100%. 100%. So AJ, lastly, for in terms of your journey, now that you've got the liquidity, you've been able to clear off things, like you've got the funding for your debts and all of that. What's life looking like for you now, and how are you feeling?
Look, for me, I'm very comfortable in my position that I know I can take care of all my responsibilities. I'm looking at we're opening a print shop now in 1 December officially. We've done small works here and there just to augment some of our income, but officially we will be launching on the 1st of December. Also, I'm looking at some investments. And for me, like I told you in the past, property for me is very important. I'll be investing in some buying of properties that is under auctions and all those kind of things, picking them up as cheap as possible, fixing them up and then reselling them. And that's the kind of investments I'm going into. I've got one property in Cape Town, which I've had for years, which I'm revamping as another source of income. I've already got people in the house, but I want to enhance the place so that it brings in a better type of income that I can get from it. And the potential can then be reached for me to be able to meet my commitments. So the important part is when you retire, don't sit back and just wait for your money to come in, because that's not going to sustain you. Make sure that part of the money you get out, you reinvest or invest in some activities so that you can have another source of income, so that you don't always wait on the pension fund or the investment fund to pay out. In my case, I've taken a small little monthly amount so that my investment itself can still grow in the first year. And then beyond that, we will sit down, the two of us, to look at my circumstances. If I still need that small amount, yes, we continue. If I need a bigger amount, we will restructure. But the important thing is that whatever you've invested, you need to make sure that that amount grows, so that in the end, as inflation grows, your stipend also grows. And that for me is where I am at the moment.
Excellent. AJ, I want to thank you again for sharing with members. Really appreciate your time, and congratulations on the phenomenal success, incredible tax savings, being able to leave this legacy and growing this capital well.
Thank you. I must thank you guys for your support and for really being there. I mean, there were days when I just couldn't take it anymore. I put it on our group, and immediately somebody will call me and reassure me that I just need to hang in there. And for me, that support was excellent.
No, very welcome.
And I also want to say, all those naysayers on Facebook that's bad mouthing you, as there's one guy that said this guy is only looking for your money, not after your money. I can tell you, I can reassure people that my journey with you has proven that you are a man of intellect, you're a man of great character, and you've shown with your team that you are out there to better the lives of others. And I wish I can say that about more people in South Africa at the moment. But thank you very much. You guys really carried me.